So we're doing Parasyte The Maxim today, right?
Yeah. What's your favorite scene from there, Steve?
Well, there is that one scene, I think it's in episode 2, where he's in the bathroom and Migi wants to see how human reproduction works.
So you're telling me that there's a parasite in my hand? That's why it's constantly just... Get out! Get out!
I don't think that's an excuse, Arnes.
Yeah, you're right.
right. Listen up, Rangers! Welcome to the Geek Chest. My name's Steve.
And my name's Arnes.
And today we're going over the anime Parasyte The Maxim. God, I really need to learn the titles. Parasyte The Maxim.
Maximum? This sounds like one of those cover, for magazines.
Yeah. Oh, sounds like one of those old 90s comic books where you imagine the guy's got all the guns on the covers and everything. The Maximum.
You just need 2 hands and 4 more down there, just all guns and
all the pockets, some shoulder pad spikes, that kind of thing.
I would watch that.
I would too. Make it.
We'll watch it. We'll support you.
But anyways, we're going over the anime Parasyte The Maxim. There you go. So for this anime, we're actually going to do a full-fledged review since there's no more episodes going to be coming out, sadly. So we're just going to do a full-fledged review for this anime, which should be exciting.
Alright, so in the beginning of the anime, there's the things that fall, boom, things come out, goes in your brain, you got cuts of hand, that's it.
Did you guys follow that? I know I didn't. But pretty much the purpose of the story is that there's these little alien snake wormy things that come out of the sky and those little flower pods you see floating through fields and meadows and whatnot. One of them lands near the house of our main protagonist Shinichi, which ends up trying to invade his arm, which the goal was to get to his brain, because if it gets into his brain, it pretty much takes over his body, kind of like the Thing from John Carpenter's film. But he ends up trapping it in his arm, which, since it got trapped in his arm, eats his arm, becomes fused with his body, and becomes the entity known as Migi. And then the anime pretty much encompasses the adventures that they go on. And by adventures, I mean them trying not to get killed by the other beings in the anime.
Because he's imperfect. The whole purpose of the alien parasite was take over the brain and then uses the human host and it eats other humans.
Yeah, and only really humans. But you meet other imperfect parasites in the anime. One invades a dog. There's another one kind of like Migi, but it's a little weirder.
Invades the guy's neck.
Yeah.
It ate his neck, which I don't understand how the guy survived while it ate his neck.
Yeah, it literally is it took over this part. And there's a bunch of really cool, they change it up a lot during the anime, which is something that's really nice. But to pretty much get into it, we're going to start with the plot and how we thought about that.
There was a plot?
I know, crazy, right? But anyways, for the plot, amazing.
It was really good.
Moving on. So pretty much for the plot of the anime, I love it personally because it's definitely a more mature anime for starters. There's some animes I've been watching, I wouldn't mind showing to my little brother. Like Ushio and Tora, some older ones like Dragon Ball Z, Yu Yu Hakusho, Sailor Moon. I don't mind showing these to my kid brother and other random people. This
Sailor
anime...
Moon?
She is the one named Sailor Moon. But anyways, because again, I was describing John Carpenter's The Thing. Gets super violent. There's some nudity. And it's just really refreshing to kind of see this more more sophisticated style anime. Because even some animes that kind of harken to a more adult theme, kind of like Attack on Titan, or I'm trying to think of another one off the top of my head. And then there's animes like Elfen Lied, which kind of leads into more the same vein, but which is animes like Attack on Titan where they kind of show a little bit more of an adult side. It still seems a little bit more mainstreamable to me than the anime like Parasyte The Maximum. Because Attack on Titan setup, it's kind of dark and violent, but the premise, I could totally see something like this in a shonen anime. While Parasyte The Maximum is something that's a little bit more off the beaten path in terms of just what you would see in these kind of animes, where it's dark and gritty, and even with some of the comedy here and there, but the story on it stays pretty much deep throughout the entirety of the show. For example, you pretty much just gotta watch the first episode, just once you get into it, pretty much gets you into the feel of how the anime is gonna be with the dude turning into a parasite, ends up you see his mouth rip open, clamps on to his wife, eats her. Girl's like, where's mommy? And then you can imagine what happened to her.
Yeah, because it just cuts it right there.
Yeah, just... And then we get into how Migi is formed, which is where it starts getting into the more lighthearted, which is something I can really appreciate about the plot, too, is that even though it's a dark, more adult anime, it's not dark all the time. Like, I'm going to gear this towards Attack on Titan, because it's one of the other more recent animes I've watched that's a little more on the adult side, is that Attack on Titan tries to do the same thing, but I feel like fails a lot of the time, where they have, like, the more humor, try to show that little hope that there can be in these dark situations. But on Attack on Titan, anytime there's any hope, it's generally just squandered, just crushed. And just the light is extinguished, usually pretty abruptly. Well, at least on Parasyte The Maximum, I'm not depressed the entire time I'm watching this movie or anime.
There's a lot of comedy scenes in it, which like keeps it even for me at least. You know, with those comedy scenes and the dark side.
Yeah,
the bathroom scene.
Yeah, the bathroom scene's like hilarious, and there's even some good ones towards the later portion of the anime, where a lot of it usually involves Migi, and even when it's not comedy, it's just like happy moments, like when the girl Satomi finally actually accepts him. Like, you just get those happy moments like that, because like throughout the most of the anime, you're kind of hoping that they stay together, because there's a lot of fighting back and forth between the two, because the early portion of the plot's more of like an identity crisis kind of thing.
Yeah, where he's like this wussy loner, you know, where like, well, it's not like, how would you explain him? Like, he's not really like, he's your
he's like your normal average high school student. Like, he's just kind of geeky, but still like relatable, lovable. And then that's pretty much how the girl ends up liking him. But then, like, when he gets Migi, she starts pretty much asking these questions like, are you actually Shinichi? Well, because a lot of his personality starts changing a little bit with the inclusion of Migi. And it's trying to, like, play on the fact that, well, maybe he doesn't actually have as much control as he thinks he does.
Yeah.
Which, I like that portion of the plot. Actually works really well for me. Especially after the whole mother incident, and then you get the slick back douchey hair of overpoweredness. I love it after that, because then you get to be like a little more on the cocky side, which is sweet. And that's where you can see the more transformation into where he starts pretty much losing himself. And most of the other characters in the anime too, I actually really enjoyed. Like, there wasn't really one standout person that I was just like, with. Like, you have, I think her name's Kana. The telepathic girl, where she kind of knew where he was, where she didn't really know him much at the time, but started to get a crush on him, especially after he became Slick Back Shinichi. And then there's the whole bond between him and her. You also have Satomi's friend, which name kind of slips my mind at the moment because I'm really bad with names. But like, her character even has a little bit of premise into it, even with some of the villains, like his.
Because there's not like just one, and it's like, it's not just one bad guy. There's a couple of them. They were like, best way to explain it was just like a video game. It's like you progress and you get like bigger and better, you know, people.
Yeah, it's kind of cool, but that's pretty much like your standard anime for the most part, where they just like, he like has like his confrontations, like the first confrontations with another imperfect parasite, and then he has his confrontation with his first normal parasite, and then you get to like Riko, who is the main protagonist throughout the majority of the anime, where it's like, it's his teacher that gets taken over.
She's just like in shadows. She's more of like an observer, I would say.
Yeah, and even like, don't want to spoil like the whole plot of it, but like, more or less, like, things change throughout the anime a lot, but it's just cool because she had still a very interesting character arc throughout the anime, because she was more of a, well, we're these parasite things, but can we be something that's a little bit more?
Yeah.
Like, she always seemed to like to be the one that wanted to...
She wanted to learn more.
She wanted to learn more about the parasites in general, and then the way they're going to fit into society. They had some other villains, like the character Haido, where he was more like, it's supposed to be like his classmate. Like, he's supposed to be like infiltrating the school to keep a close eye on him. And he was pretty sweet as well, because he was a little bit more on the side of the parasites, where he was there, but he wasn't afraid to show himself. And it was just cool because you see a lot of drastic changes between the parasites, especially once you get later in the anime, where they're more like, at the beginning, they're like, stupid, just want to eat, but later on they definitely get a little bit more humanistic and smart about how they go about these things.
Because over time, the humans start figuring out what's going on, and then they start collecting him slowly and killing him. And
yeah, it's just like, it makes sense. It's one of those animes where it's like, no matter how crazy the story gets, it seems plausible through the entirety of the anime. Like, these situations I could see easily happening. For the animation, I personally really liked it.
I liked it a lot. Probably a little bit more than Steve, because usually it's just like the animation that we would watch is just like those titty movements. It's just like impossible. Like when you watch it, it's like
it's just everywhere.
It's not like possible, you know.
No, but seriously, this anime actually, like, the animation for it is actually really, really well done. Like, most of the fight scenes and how, like, they have, like, the blades flailing around the screen. So, it looks sweet. Love how the parasites were designed and drawn. Like, they look great. It's one of those funny things, too, is where after I watched the anime and kind of fell in love with it, I was like, oh, maybe I'll go pick up the mangas. And when I opened up the manga, I was just like, what is this? It was just like, like, you can see where they got the style for the anime, but I love that they changed it enough.
Oh, changed it a lot in the manga. I was going to go buy the manga, put it in my collection, and I actually changed my mind.
Yeah.
But I really, love this TV show. It's just...
I think especially, like, with the art, because, like, everything flows really nice. It's usually, like, the movements on anime are pretty much what sell it. Like, Dragon Ball Z is one of those animes where, like, I love it a lot of the times, and there's some times where I don't like it quite as much. It's kind of like, depending on which studio was doing which episode for the day, was how I felt on that. It's kind of like the same Yu Yu Hakusho, where some episodes were definitely a lot better done than others. But then there's animes like Outlaw Star, which look fantastic throughout the entirety of it. Gundam Wing. Trigun looks really good. Even some newer animes, like, there's some that are, like, okay looking, and then you get stuff like Parasyte The Maxim, which is phenomenal.
On its own level, I'm telling you.
Yeah. But then it's, like, it's funny transition, because, like, we'll go back to, like, Monster Musume, where, like, I like the animation for the anime. The manga looks really well drawn, too. Like, I love that. This anime and manga really doesn't sell. Like, if you guys, I guess a good one would be Yu Yu Hakusho if you read the manga and watched the anime. I'm not as big a fan of the art style in the manga, because you can tell where they got the idea for the looks, but then it kind of veers off drastically.
They went their own way.
They added a lot more to it, which I really enjoy. That's kind of weird too, because, like, they're artists. Like, you have to appreciate the art that they're doing, especially since somebody was like, "Oh, this is good enough to make into an anime," but it was just like, it's hard for me to see it without seeing the story, because, like, the story, even in the manga, is really, really well done, too. But it's just, like, I don't know why, it's just the art seemed to take it out of there for me a little bit.
That's why it probably wasn't as popular because of that. And
yeah, it might be. Because, like, there's supposed to be, like, a lot of people, like, say our work. There's actually a lot of people that like anime at our job. Most people don't know what the hell we're talking about.
And it's like, honestly, it's like first manga will decide if I'm going to read the rest of them or not. And just looking at that first from Parasyte is...
Whew. So overall with Parasyte The Maxim, you guys need to go watch it. Like, the story, amazing. Love all the characters. Migi is awesome, which is weird to say that a hand character can be sweet, but it's literally just some dude's hand, and I love this person. Like, the things he do is interesting. I love the story progression for even Migi. It was awesome. Love the animation. Pretty much, there's nothing I really hated about the anime. Like, it's only 24 episodes long. Pretty sure it's somewhere around there.
24.
But it's pretty short.
And it finishes everything.
Yeah, like, it's done. Like, you understand, like, as a beginning, as an end. It's not too many animes that I really say have a nice, clean, cohesive ending. So probably, like, the last one I really loved the ending was, like, Yu Yu Hakusho. Where it's like, you knew it was done.
Dragon Ball Z was done. Goku and Noob fly away.
Yeah, dude. I'm gonna go train this guy. Hey, and we're like, so he's going on an adventure? Does that mean we're getting more, and then we got more?
No, we didn't.
Why did we get more?
GT never existed.
We don't talk about it.
No, we haven't talked about
it. Vegeta with a mustache.
So now this is where me and Steve are going to defer a little bit. There was some issues with this anime. And there was a lot of, like, messages or hidden messages throughout it Like the first one is like where his whole identity thing was, where he was like he didn't know who he was or who he should be, and which I kind of understand. But the last few episodes really kind of bugged me because it was like, oh no, we're polluting the earth. It's all our fault, and the whole reason why these things came down, which they came from space, was to save the earth, to kill us because we're the bad guys. Wah.
So what you're saying is you didn't like this mainly because it was a better version of Captain Planet.
You have something against Captain Planet? Huh. How dare you mock the Seven Rings, was it?
There are some parasites. They're our hero. They're gonna take pollution down to zero. I get where he's coming from. It didn't really bother me.
It bothered me just a little bit, but not enough to discourage me away. It's just I still loved it. It's just like one of the scenes like where he was fighting like the.
I don't know if you want to go into that fully. Like, you gotta give people the reason to watch it still.
Yeah. He's fighting this guy and something happens and this happens and this happens and yeah, you'll just have to see it.
Yeah, you'll just watch it. Like, it's definitely worth the watch. Especially if you like more mature animes with really good plots, really slick animation. Definitely go check it out.
With a little bit of hidden message in there. Stop polluting, you guys.
Quite a bit of hidden messages, but
okay, maybe like
the majority of the story is about hidden messages. At least they tell you about them. It's not like M. Night Shyamalan.
M. Night Shyamalan?
There's not a twist.
Oh, there is a twist. It was all a dream?
Sure. So definitely be sure to go check out this anime. And what do you guys think? If you guys watch Parasyte The Maxim, let us know in the comments below. Help us defeat those kaijus by hitting that like button. Subscribe to become a ranger today. And we'll see you guys in the next video.
And just be careful when you hit your computer. Please don't break it. We can't afford to pay you. Steve keeps telling you every time to hit that button. Please don't hit it.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys. Remember how you said we make these way too long, Steve?
I know, right?
We have point A to point B.
Yeah, it's like, we're going to make this like 5, maybe 10 minutes at most.
We're going...
Get out of there. Oh, all right.